omulamwa gwa baba mangu omusaada n'empango mukukuuma obuwangwa bye ono be kuma obuwangwa omulamwa gw'omwaka guno
kuba nti abasaada n'empango mu kulwanyisa ekifunamamunda mu baana abakaali kwetuuka.
Erinnya lyo gwani?
Erinnya lyange nze Wasibwe Arnold.
Wasibwe Arnold, ayiweiraawo. Aha ssebo, erinnya lyo ni wani niza sekinga ebibuuzo. Olina akola ki okuziyiza ekifunamamunda mu baana abakaali kwetuuka?
Ninawagulirira n'okwewala ebifo eby'obutaka.
Iraale kubawa emipiira waliwo abandi yaggwa kusaanijire mulete omupiira mube emipiira ebiri munaayida yaggwako amayinago yogera ino baba awulire
muuma Frank
tulina akola ki okuziyiza ekifunamamunda mu baana abakaali kwetuuka?
Nkobe nti abazadde balina okutaawo amateeka agatangira abaana okujja mu mize oba okwewala ebifo bye batalimenti kutuukamu okusinziira ku myaka gyabwe.
Okay, oyo tumuwaire obugalo owekitiibwa Yudaya akobye ati oyampaire ansa ebaire ennungi ino butini tulijja kuba nga ate tusindanwa nimu abasatu okusatu aliwa ida wano osobola okuba niwo osembayo oli wakuna ida ni wani bwa Dennis Ombawa
Mbwasemwezi
kiki tulina okukola okuziyiza ekifunamamunda mu baana abakaali kwetuuka?
tulina okukola obusitokishoni mu baana abo okuba nga abasaada tubaba kumpi n'abasaada.
Terera bulungi tulina akola ki okuziyiza ekifunamamunda mu baana abakaali kwetuuka?
tulina okutaawo amateeka
gatya?
amateeka ge tulina okutaawo tulina okuba nga tubasomesa tubitanga tubasomesa
obise babawo emipiira ebiri tenda emipiira ebiri banaabo mumpe emipiira ebiri mulijja kwegema babiri buli omulondako olijja ogema nayo kale katufune babiri basooke bakubaawo emipiira era giba ebiri. Mwegeme mwengawo musembyeyo okuyita muno otandise nga ngali kugoba abo babiri aya ndala ibiri isatu asooka osuula n'abita wano aya mutandike jago mudonge ani asoose osuula no mwire mwangwe sebo wuliriza kutyawo ndala ibiri mutandike Bye. Mwidemwe abasembye wano. Katubone iwe lindaawo wandiwangula esimu. Mwangwe. Otyoni ndala ibiri isatu mutandike. Mwide final uovile katufune weti final ntandika ndala bali ku final baba yuwire mbali ovile ndala ibiri isatu mutandike ani asososula mugwire draw mwangu mwire mwana okusembayo nga tujja mu second half okusembayo mangwawo tubone 1 2 3 mutandike omwambuzi w'essimu ya MTN babalekera webakuwa nokina banange we celebration ya ndati koleida ida bakukwanga isimu ya MTN Kabode Super afunie isimu ya MTN Kabode Super style emikusi gyona gyona ku mipiira gyona gyona ebayire egaba amasimu ga MTN Kabode Super kuti omwami Muwaya Dennis asobola okuba nga awangula esimu ava ku Semwens enawansinge asobola okuba nga ate awangula esimu ya MTN Kabode Super. Congratulations. Era osobola okuba nga ate wetwalira esimu eka osobola okuba nga oseereza ku mikutu TikTok, ku WhatsApp, ku Twitter oba X n'emikutu egifaananako tinegyo. MTN Uganda, together we are unstoppable. Oyo ni sponsor Nantawuni Kamu agemye empira n'obwana bwano yalibomola munkwadukoda MTN Busoga Masaza Cup. Ladies and gentlemen, tulijja mu kitundu ekyokubiri aye ng'ate ekitundu ekisose kiweirenga Kigulu erina 0 esasa eya Luuka byonna lirina 0. Final kwenda ku mulala omuwanguzi era ng'ebirabo kamaala okuva mu MTN Uganda tulijja kuba ng'ate bibona nga bigabibwa eri ttiimu empanguzi ate nga ttiimu dombiriri begituse ku final oyinza okuba oti dombiriri mpanguzi wabula muwanguzi mubaamu omuwanguzi asinga. Genda okwebaza
All right, welcome back to the KYABAZINGA Stadium here in Bugembe, Eastern Uganda, for the grand final of the MTN Busoga Masaza Cup 2025. As two-time champions, Kigulu first on the pitch outside or out of the locker room, trying to hunt for a third title in their fourth final, up against first-time finalists Luuka, who will kick us off for the second half. Luuka in the predominantly red and black, and then the two-time champions in that mix of blue. Because we did just witness a substitution at the half. Kigulu introducing Muchiri Saidi in the place of Jazzy 3 in Mr. Chiseka John. I'm not so sure if the substituted player was the one who was stamped on at the very tail end of that first half, but I do want to suspect it might just be so. Hopefully he is fine. And so, everything still to play for in this KG final. It has had these chances. Most of them are coming by the way of the first-time finalists in red. Let's wait and see if there will be a trend change in the second half. Luckily for me now, I also have a change. I can now graphically locate every other name of the starting player and the substitute. That wasn't the case earlier on in the first half, as the physical battle does continue. And this is the same player who stamped on the player who I think has been taken off eventually. Remember, his name is Bate Sakkanen. He already is on a yellow card. As we see, other changes are being prepared for Luuka. High boot. Referee initially letting play continue and waiting a little over a second before he did take a decisive action. And that's a warning to the Luuka jersey 16. He's listed as Karogo Farouk. And the captain, Kigulu, not able to get on the end of that free kick. So it will roll out. Kigulu's first title came by way of a penalty shootout way back in 2018. Let's wait and see if there will be a goal and if this match will be run in regulation time. Michael Chigozie is my name, alongside Ali Constant and the entire team down here in the eastern region of the country. Well, both teams are not starting off with any sort of rhythm in the opening few moments of this second half. As some flying tackle. In fact, it was a tackle that sent the player flying to the ground to, I think, try to evade it, more than it being a very hard tackle. I think it was more over the player trying to avoid contact. As you wait for another set of substitutions. The coach is not afraid to call on to some of the fresh legs off the table earlier on in this second half. Remember, Kigulu had a substitution with just after 30 minutes gone. Kigulu in blue had their captain playing in the back line, substituted. They are in attack. Ball skied. And like I said, in this opening few minutes, there's no rhythm on either side. But there was rhythm earlier on, by the way. At halftime here at Bugembe, there was some rhythm because a section of the fans inside here burst with some excitement, and we were wondering where that was coming from, only to learn that Arsenal had been beaten at the death. Apparently, that was the reason. But as for us, NBA Sport, we do have, of course, Tottenham versus Brentford, another London derby, as Mugoya Issa checks in the place of Chiza Emmanuel. And then Luuka also introduced a man off the bench in Mugoya Emmanuel Issa. So the player who was having a battle and in my book should have been sent off in Bate Sakanan has also been taken off by Luuka, the team in red. I think a logical decision by the coach Barikoa Abdallah and his manager Webika Mustafa. Of course, KYABAZINGA's Bugabula finishing as a bronze medalist for the second successive year, earlier on in that third place playoff contest that they had with Bokoli Namayingo. quite a measured start to the second half. Not quite the sort of intensity that we saw in the opening few minutes of the first half in this grand final. Abasajja bali wano nze ndabanga abatandise oba buli omu okuwa munne ekitiibwa abakochi bagambye notisi naye nga mu kitundu kino ekyokubiri bali awo buli omu akyanoonya kubeera nga asamba omupiira gwe tutegeera obulungi n'okukola emikisa egyo. Fayina eno ekyali 0-0 naye ng'oli omusajja yatemye omuntu bamugjeeko naye wano babadde baleese dengi abasajja aba ttiimu eno eya Luuka. Constant Ali yakugambye ono nga omwana wa Soiro nti bano era beerinaanye kumpi awo muyiganga tebeeri wala nnyo okutwaliza awamu naye ebyo banaabinyumyako edda. Saawa yakulaga ani kirimaanyi maaso ga Kyabazinga. So bwe tutyo bwe tuguddewo kino ekitundu ekyokubiri era nga mbagambyeko mwe abategeera oluyesi because nti tubadde wano mu half time endulu neevuga nnyo ng'eva mu katundutundu akamu ak'ekisaawe ne tugamba ate kikiisa Abazinga azzeeyo kulala ng'alambula ku bantu
naye ate ebyo tebyetaagisa
munnange
kubanga
ne bagamba nti gama yanditoloka ku muntu naye wano gweri wano weweeri
ekyo kyoli okubona n'ekikopo eky'omuwanguzi w'amasaza ga Busoga era bava kitaawo oku abasambi basobola okusamba nga amaanyi gabalimu nti ekikopo kiriwo era ateeba oba awangula ajja kuba nga akiwangula.
Of course MTN yetambuza bino ebintu byonna era nga bwekikola mu regions zonna ez'enjawulo naye nga wano eno yegenda okusembayo omwaka guno. MTN yegambe nti mmwe ebajjeeko enfuufu tulinde biddirira nga Christmas ewedde naye nga abawangula ekikopo ekya season ewedde bafuna miliyoni 13 okuva mu MTN nga kwogase n'obbawo ebintu ebirala ate abaddako ne bafuna miliyoni 9 abookusatu ne bafuna miliyoni 6 ate nga abookuna batwala miliyoni 4 ewaka era ne beebaza Baba awamu ne MTN okusambuza ebintu ebyo ng'agira Baba waali bulungi nnyo bamuyita Baba because Kyabazinga kitegeeza father of the people, father of the family. So kakati abeera Baba era nga wano mu Lusoga bamuwa n'erinnya Isaabire kati yengeri gyali Ssaalongo Bassaalongo mu Busoga babayita Isaabirye yadde waliwo ne ba Isaabirye abatali Bassaalongo mu nteekateeka eyo. There is a chance for the two-time champions. Composure looking for an open player, but good tracking back by Luuka, but still the danger is on. But I said earlier on in the first half that in terms of the aerial battle, you would bank one team into winning this. Some of the interested onlookers smartly dressed. I also know that I think about 2 days back, Busoga did claim the Miss Tourism Busoga Award. A daughter of the land, should have been 2 days ago, a daughter of the land who I've seen here and some of the other contestants. One that Miss Tourism Busoga 2025 that was held in Western Uganda. Must have been so this week, so they're also in attendance here. And probably that is their company. Because remember that Busoga also did gift us with a Miss Uganda recently in Abenacho. As the physicality does continue.
Michael, mpise kumbawagizi ba team dino dombe era twawayamu kuba nkobera nti engeri ebintu gye biri okutambulamu Luuka afunye emikisa mingi era oli waba nga ali kubonera ku TV akoba nti Luuka asobola okuba nga atwala ekikopo kino aye bakubye nti Luuka yegendereze kubanga tebidda kuba byangu gyali naye era nga bayize mu kitundu kino ekyomuzano ekisooka era oba oli kubona ebintu Luuka eri kuzanira ino wakati tini eri Luuka ya first half ebaire ng'ejja mu mberi yanoonya ne goal abula eri kuzanira ino wakati so nakubye nti erina okozesa emikisa gyayo nga tukali mu kitundu ekisooka aye yalemererwa okozesa emikisa egyo kuti omupiira gukaali 0-0 katubone eddakiika ekenda linaaweerayo analija okuba nga ate n'omuwanguzi w'empaka dino.
I'm so sure a lot of the players will go back home with quite some bruises from a hard day's work. But I love the fact that the man in the middle, Mr. Mukisa Samuel, has tried not to show a lot of emotion and pay attention to try and keeping the game calm. As now Kigulu with an opening, quick free kick, and the tracking back is top-notch from Luuka. But this was a quickly launched attack from Kigulu. Just the 8 on the end of that pass. Muchibi Sad came off the bench. Remember, he is on fresh legs. Actually thought there was an intervention from the defender, but possibly the defender's only intervention was in trying to make sure that Muchibi Sad does rush his decision more than he would have liked. But here, is there a chance? Yes, there is. But put agonizingly for the 100th time wide when he had all the time and space to try and choose his spot. He did not even make the goalkeeper work, Ali.
Edone mikisa dene dendi owera okubakobera nti Luuka eri kusubwa emikisa mingi. Luuka erina okozesa emikisa gyayo webanga yakuwangula kikopo kino wabula singa ate n'abaawo bajja mpaka mu bwina ttiimu eno ya Kigulu Tinangu nga bagiire mu bwina esobola okuba nga ate mukuba yatwala n'ekikopo so balina okuba nga beegendereza baba nga bakuwangula kikopo balina okutaawo embeera balina okutaawo ate amaani balina okwongeramuku basobola okutaawo okuwangula ekikopo kino. Aye oba olingira omukisa omuvuka gwava okusubwa omukisa ebyokwononera bikubula walinga bulinga wakoba nti Luuka eri kusubwa emikisa mingi ate nga yeetaaga okuwangula ekikopo. Twakobye nti n'omulundi gwayo ogusooka okutuuka ku mpaka dino akamalirizo era nga bali kusamba eisaza ly'Ekigulu erituuse ku final emirundi ena bawangula final ediwerako 2 irala nga badefendinga n'okudefendinga.
So the player who has been on the end of those chances the most for Luuka is just the 7 Baluzimbye Omar. But here is Kigulu taking advantage and scoring from the tightest of corners. After enduring a difficult first half where they were pushed to the limit, finally, against all odds, against the run of play, Kigulu, the 4-time finalists, do take a lead here early on. These are some of who I was talking about. Miss Tourism, Kigulu, and we had the overall Miss Tourism Busoga as well. And ladies and gentlemen, for the Luuka fans, they have to deal with it. After creating chance after chance, Kigulu, from the tightest of angles that nearly beat our cameras as well, take an astonishing lead in this one. 1-0 it is for Kigulu. This is the piece of play. Muchibi Sad was earlier on involved in an early free kick. But look at that from an angle. Goalkeeper beaten. I'm not so sure he's faced a lot of shots from this Kigulu side, but one of those that really needed to test him have ended up in the back of the net. Kigulu 1, Luuka 0.
Michael nakukobye nti Luuka we takozesa mikisa gyayo mu kitundu eky'omuzannyo ekisooka ejja kweyidusa n'akaseera ako Luuka yeyiduse era Luuka erina okola eno gutya okufuna goal, erina okola eno okuyizaawo emikisa egyo gyeva okuba nga ate esubwanga ekyo n'ekikopo.
Eyes on the prize is a famous phrase in football, and for Kigulu they have one eye already on it. Carter say, if my eye served me right from their jersey number 2, a man in the name of Tasuba Burhana, who came off the bench in the second half for Kigulu, beating the goalkeeper by that fantastic strike outside the area from the tightest of angles. And they take a surprise 1-0 lead after weathering all the storm of chance after chance from their opponents. Kigulu incredibly take that lead. That man, Tasuba Burhana, remember his name. Remember, last year's final was sorted by just that Ivan goal in the 11th minute. And here we already have a goal in this final. A brutal lesson that we wonder Luuka about. Not that they have lost the game, but after all those mammoth chances, we did talk about how football and sport generally can create situations like those. When you don't take your chances, it's almost always inevitable that you will be punished in the most brutal of ways. Let's see the reaction now with Luuka. A goal down in their first ever final in this 8th edition of the MTN Busoga Masaza Cup. So it's played into safety by the Luuka defender, Jersey 4 in Isabirye Edrin. We did tell you about the meaning of Isabirye in this region. Kigulu chasing a 3rd crown in 8 years. That will be the most by any team. They jointly have 2 with Tembe and one other. Well, they are being chanted on by a big section of the crowd. Now they are taking the ball to Luuka. Will they have some answers? Some fancy feet from the player who is urging on the supporters. Sport can be cruel. 1,000 chances for Luuka, none of them finding the back of the net. Goalkeeper, and I thought both goalkeepers have been outstanding tonight. But on the one occasion where possibly he went a yard or 2 off his line, he was punished in the most brutal way. Here's a corner that will straight away roll out, and Luuka will want to use every other second to try and get back into this one. Fourth final for the team in blue. They have won in all finals but one in 2022 when they fell to Bukoli. Normally, usually there are at least 12 to 14 teams that normally represent these 11 chiefdoms in this competition that is played annually. Baba, ono coach wa timu ki?
Oyo ni balikowa atendeka eisaza ine lya Luuka gwewera gwendi ukuwa yaku amanikibwa ku ngeri ya Simani. Simani atendese ku amatimu agawera ku irala wano Masaza atenga akalemererwa okuba nga ate awangula ekikopo kino. Yatuusa buna ku final Kigulu gye yamukuba 2019. So aidi awo nga akola ebintu aya akalemererwa okuba nga ate awangula ekikopo kino.
Meanwhile, we did talk about bruises. I did talk about the bruises, and you can see them clearly for whichever team win or lose. All these players will surely need some warm water back home and a lot of silence, possibly because it's been a brutal physical game, to say the very least. This is the goal. Sadi Muchibi sees an onrushing teammate. He must be, I suspect, a defender. He had an opposition defender within him, but launched it first time and hit the right spot. Came off the bench, the goal scorer, Tasuba Burhana. So around about 20 minutes of regulation time remaining before we can know our champion. How do Luuka respond from a situation that saw them create the most chances, dominate play, win literally every other loose ball, especially those aerial duels, but find themselves against the team they have literally dominated in every other aspect of the game. Remember, after this game, we have Tottenham versus Brentford for you on NBS Sport in the EPL. Watch out for that London derby at 6 p.m. where you would, of course, be served with updates from various games, including Man City versus Sunderland and a couple of others by the team in Kampala. But here, around the confines of the source of River Nile, it's a final that had many opportunities, and I think still does have but still 1 goal in it. It was enough to win it for Butembe against Bukono when I was commentating on that final last year. It came too early, but here it has come in the second half. Bukono had no answer for Butembe last year. Let's see if this team in possession do have a response. You can see that the sleeves are now up. Bragging rights at stake. Cash money from the number one supporter of Ugandan football at stake. They prepare for a long one, Luuka. Remember their aerial threat. There they go. Winning every other battle in the air, in the dangerous area, but to the relief of the Kigulu supporters, goalkeeper gathers. Well, they haven't shown any panic, Luuka, I'm feeling. They have kept their shape, but now need to push a little further and more aggressive, just as they were in the first half. That also has its own risks, though, because they are playing against a very experienced champion. They could be caught on the break. This time the goalkeeper has all his angles covered. Well, the moment Luuka conceded, they have sort of like lacked the cutting edge in that final third, not created enough opportunities as they were doing throughout the course of the entire game. I don't know whether they were just trying to become, or the psychology of the game has really changed, or have Kigulu stepped up their ante. Wait and see. All those could be possibilities. A case of anywhere will do for Kigulu. 15 minutes in it. More reinforcements for the current leaders. Fresh legs being introduced here. 23 will check out for Kigulu. 11 will check in, and 11 is Kaganzi Banto Ibrahim. We've just seen a substitute score the only goal in the game, and Kigulu have their own substitute. Chance. Neberanga chance wete gaenze. Basebo ne banyabo we mutabadde munnange emikisa timu gyekoze ya Luuka obedda giyitawo baje bayita mukisa mpewo nga giyitawo naye kakati we twogerera omuvubuka yavudde katebe ka Kigulu gwe bayita kano wano wetulengera okwekalabula Tasuba Buruhana avudde na mabega musambi munne n'amulaba mu jozi namba 8 n'amuwa akapiira akabadde akalungi ennyo. Jukiro n'abadde akyayina amaanyi Mushibisa Dati yamuwadde nga wetulengera yellow card. Omufuuyi wa firimbi Mukisa Samuel yagambye sijja kuvuluga omupiira, sijja guvuluga, njabba kwata mpola mpola, naye nga bwengenda namba wa kadi kati awadde mujozi namba 4 owa Luuka defender oyo gwe bayita Isabire Edrin. Twakugambye erinnya Isabire kitegeeza Ssaalongo, naye ate era osobola obutaba Ssaalongo ne bali kutuuma. Kati eno baaba ye Ssaalongo era ndooza Isabire bajja muyita, bajjadde muyita, naye kipa babadde bakoze bulungi mu ndaba yange naye omusajja akubye kipa oba kipa abadde atambuddemukko kati ekisaawe tekiryoka kiwola era kati kyekiri wano ekikopo mukirabyeko kyo Luuka mulundi gwabwe ku final ate bano abakulu banoonya kikopo kya kusatu basibaganye n'amasaza amalala 2 ku bikopo bibiri bye bakasiza okubeera nga bakiwangula naye kati bwe bagenda ku bisatu bajja kubeera nga be bokka nga tebalinaako ttiimu ndala yonna gyoyinza okuyita empeekezi. But here they need to defend their lines. The two-time champions, the goalkeeper sweeps it from the head of the attacking player from Luuka. And the goalkeeper is Kisubi Sulaiman. Luuka flagged offside. Abasaada n'empango mwe bapiras abasajja yegirimu ku mulamwa lwaki amasaza gano weegali okusinziira ku bwaki abazinga bweno abaana beeno bafuna nnyo embuto nga bakyali bato ate n'okuva mu ssomero kati obwa kyabazinga bugamba nti abasajja muli mpagi y'amaanyi nnyo mu kubeera nga ate mugaana abaana bano okuva mu ssomero kubanga mmwe mubajjamu nga mubakolako ebikolwa eby'ensonyi oluusi ne domestic violence asobola okubeera nga addusa omwana waka atannatuuka ate n'ogenda n'abanga nate afumbirwa byonna bikyamu obwakabaka bwe bugamba. So abasajja babagamba mwe mpagi seddugge. So we are approaching the 80th minute mark. If you're Shigula or Rana Kigulu, you wonder whether you try to just about be conservative, control the game, or do you go for the kill? I would rather they just control the game and try and get Luuka frustrated and force them into making rushed decisions and try to win as many calls as that particular player has just won at that moment. And for Luuka's case, I'm just thinking aloud with myself here that, well, since the goal went in and it's been under some bruising conditions, I'm not so sure every other player will want to be or is in the best physical shape, because it's been quite a bruising battle. I would rather you use your aerial prowess, try and launch it in mid-air from whenever you can do that, because as opposed to the side that you see, this is the man who set up the goal, Muchibi Sad. So I'm thinking Luuka can try to go that route one, because they have the big physical frames, bigger than their opponents from my point of view. There's a change. Another for Luuka. Magezi Shamiru checks in, jersey number 3. Rakitwale Ronald, jersey 11, checks out. Put it in the air. I'm thinking they are beginning to listen. But for whatever they can do, Kigulu are putting in a shift at this crucial moment of the game. Ball high up. Do they have enough numbers up front? Have their bodies been bruised so much? Could they be caught on a breakaway attack? That was disappointing from man who did well in trying to recover that possession and keeping it, but in the end lacked a final product in form of trying to keep it with his team and control the narrative. The trophy is in sight of each of these players. Another dangerous play. This player knows he cannot survive that yellow card. Busoga Salim. Both he and his central defensive partner in jersey number 4, Isabile Edwin, are both carrying yellow cards. Chance for Luuka to try and throw the kitchen sink, the proverbial one as we know it. Are they urgent enough, I wonder? Do they still have legs left after running ragged for over an hour? They cross the ball in attack. Player doesn't connect with the ball, and that will be played into safety. Just under 6 minutes of regulation time. The long throw has been a familiar feature of this ball game. It's just another one. And the story of their day continues. This time it's Jersey 8 who fails to connect. Mogoya Emmanuel Issa fails to connect when they so desperately needed to at least force the goalkeeper into action. What's Kigulu's response? Mochebi, Sadi, very good on the ball, trying to catch the goalkeeper out of position for the second time. In fact, it was just a 10 Chiza Emmanuel. Luuka forced into a tight pocket, and to the relief of Kigulu, a couple of seconds will be eaten. Last year's final was won by this scoreline. The only difference that came in the first half, this one has come in the second half. And this one has been more physical than last year's final, won by Butembe, who failed to progress from the group this time round. And so they are counting the minutes, Kigulu, searching to try and do what no other team has done. They are chasing history. A third title will be the most that any of these chiefdoms has ever won. So that will be writing yet another chapter in their rich history. And they know they are so close. That explains what you are seeing on your screen. Champions in 2018. It was another tight affair. Goalless after regulation time and requiring the lottery of a penalty shootout to win their first ever title. And then becoming the first county to go back to back after winning in 2019. Luuka scored more goals than them. Across the games that were played in this edition that started on the 12th of July at Irundu Primary School in Budiope, where we were as well. But now in about 6 months, the final game will decorate a team already rich in terms of history. We had that just the 1 minute added on at the end of the first half. Luuka were the more convincing in the semi-finals, putting 3-1 past Bugabula. Luuka had a 2-0 success over Bokoli Namaingo. But now they have dealt with destiny. Basebo ne banyaba basajja balabika bakizaayo. Bawandiise ebyafaayo bingi nnyo bano aba Kigulu. Be basooka okiwangula mu 2018. Ne bagenda mu 2019 ne bakiddamu okutuuka ku fayino. Ne bafuukira ddala ttiimu yasookera ddala. Okubeera nga bw'etyo ewangula ebikopo bibiri. Benkanyakanya kati record ne ttiimu eza Busiki. Busiki erina bibiri, Butembe erina bibiri, Kigulu naye erina bibiri. Naye eri on the brink okufuna ekyokusatu. But there's a late charge. Some desperate moments. Quick one into the goal area. There's a fumble. 4 minutes of added time. The referee, as he has done all game long, leaves play to continue. But the ball hits the Kigulu player in an area we all suspect. Ivan Nakalanda was the difference between Butembe and Bokono last year. This time, the difference maker is a man who just came off the bench. Buruhana Tasuba in the second half, coming from way deep, receiving a pass from arguably my man of the match, Muchibi Sad, just 8 blue. And then launching a rocket that caught the goalkeeper a few yards off his line. Probably when he sees that replay, he will think he should have done better. So the season that started at Irundu, featuring 14 teams from 11 chiefdoms, down deep in Budiope, is concluding at the KYABAZINGA Stadium. KYABAZINGA, of course, is a United Nations Goodwill Ambassador as well. He's Chiefdom is Bugabula, if you say a place, the exact place of his roots. That's what awaits. They are just moments away. Kigulu just moments away. This referee has been strict with trying to keep time. Remember, he barely added a minute despite that brutal stamp on the Kigulu player. So I do suspect that this might just be the last dance for Luuka, who launched it mid-air into the dangerous area. Still the threat is on. Surely. Kigulu must be celebrating in their minds, but not yet a final whistle, as that will go into a corner kick, which needs to be quickly taken. Technical team, Luuka. Surely even the goalkeeper now should be out of his goal to try and have some last-ditch efforts. But I want to think what you're thinking. History again for Kigulu. After weathering a lot of pressure from the first-time finalists, after conceding so many chances against the first-time champions, ladies and gentlemen, for a record-stretching third time, the team from Iganga are the champions of the MTN Busoga Masaza 2025. And the party can now start. Tasuba Burhana off the bench. And that decisive score. A goal that can win any football game. And the party can continue. 4 finals and 3 trophies. And Kigulu yet again are champions of the Busoga MTN Busoga Masaza Cup 2025. A game that had all sorts of flying tackles. A red card should have been in my book at least. But that will not matter anymore. But what a performance from the losing team tonight. Luuka, first timers, but of course trying to go from the start. The key moment, the moment that will be remembered in years to come. What a fabulous goal. Of course, goalkeeper caught out of possession, I'm thinking. But nevertheless, what a strike from Tasuba to give Kigulu the lead, or rather the lead at that moment. But now eventually they win entirely. We should be getting signals from the pitch side to try and gauge the atmosphere down there as soon as I get it. Constant Ali might just want to bring us some of the reactions in the heat of the moment. I don't know if he's ready. What surely is not out of doubt is the look. Is the look of the trophy. And our colleagues from other media houses, of course, enjoying a photo moment. Another title, another piece of history. They have contested the most finals. They have won the most. They have untied themselves from Butembe, who have 2, and also Busiki, who have 2. It's a shame that Luuka could not get anything out of a game in which they created mammoth chances. But Kigulu from Iganga will care less. And so as we wait for the crowning moment, these are the scenes down here at the KYABAZINGA Stadium. It's not the loudest because the team hails from Iganga, which is a bit not so close here. So it's understandable that it's not really a very raucous atmosphere, just a couple of fans. But then the other, of course, cannot access the playing surface. They are restricted, so maybe they'll also join in the party. So it's all colored blue down here at the KYABAZINGA Stadium. In 2018, they won their first championship 0-0 after 90 minutes and winning 5-4. And then 2019 beat Bunia 1-0, lost to Bokoli in 2022 final, and now they are champions again. Let's leave you with some of the better images for now as we continue to summarize the 2025 MTN Busoga Masaza. My name is Michael Chigozi. We're still live here, and we shall play some of the best highlights for you.
Ayenda abana